volume of prisms. The PSSA formula sheet will give you the formulas for the rectangular prism, and that formula is right here. And it will also give you a generic form that actually would also work for a rectangular prism. And that's this one right here. They are both actually the same thing. Let's talk about the rectangular prism. The rectangular prism says the volume is the length times the width times the height. So we have the length times the width times the height. This second one at the bottom that works for everyone says that you take B times the width. Well, B is the area of the base. Now in this case, for the rectangular prism, it wouldn't be times the width because that is part of our base. So we would use the height. So it would be length times the width equals B. And then we would multiply the height, which is the W. Over here, the base is right here. So we would have to find the area of that base and then multiply it by the width. The first prism that we are going to talk about will be the rectangular prism. Before we go on about the rectangular prism, let's first talk about volume. Volume is the total capacity of a three-dimensional object. It describes how much space the object will occupy. Think of filling a box. How much can you get inside the box? That's what volume represents. We want to shade the bases of the rectangular prisms below, and then we want to describe how to find the area of the bases. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to color the bases. These bases appear to be square, which is also rectangular. The second figure. And then the other base on that one. And then finally the last one. All of these are rectangles. So we can use the formula for volume is equal to length times width times height. Or we can say the volume is equal to the area of the base, which is length times width, and then multiply it by the height. Volume can be determined by finding the area of the base, so that's this formula, and then multiplying it by the height of the object. So here's our formula. This will work for every single shape. And then we have, just for reference, B is the area of the base. Our example, we are to find the volume of the rectangular prism below, and you can use the chart from above. The formula, volume is equal to BH, where B is equal to length times width. Here we have our length, our width, and our height. So let's start with finding B. B is equal to 6 times 9. 6 times 9 is 54. And then I will take 54 and multiply it by the height, which is 4.5. Multiply all of that together, and then we label it. Volume gets a label of cubed. We are taking 3 sides of the shape together, therefore we will put the 3 as the exponent for our label. The second shape that we're going to talk about is the triangular prism. A triangular prism uses the same formula as the rectangular prism as long as you are using the generic version. Volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. The base, in this case, will have to be a triangle. Let's first practice finding the area of the triangles below. In this triangle right here, we have several different parts. The 2 parts that we need for the area of a triangle, area is equal to 1/2 the base times the height. This little b, we're talking about the area, or a part of a shape. The capital B in the previous formula, we're talking about the area of the base. So in this case, this line right here will represent your B. And when it makes a 90-degree angle with the height, that is your H. So your H would be 7, and that would be B. We plug in our values, we get 1/2 times 14 times 7. 14 times 7 is 98. We want 1/2 of 98. So our area would be 49 feet squared. It's squared because we are only multiplying 2 dimensions together. The second one, the formula is the same, so we can rewrite that formula in the exact same spot. Here is our 90-degree angle. 3.2 represents our height. 6.1 will represent our base. So we are going to take 1/2 times 6.1 times 3.2. 6.1 multiplied by 3.2 is 19.52. So when we take half of that, we get an area of 9.76 centimeters squared. Again, we have the same formula. Area is equal to 1/2 base times height. Here is our base. 10 is the height. So we are going to take 9 times 10 times 1/2. 9 times 10 is 90. Half of 90 gives us an area of 45 meters squared. We're going to shade the base of each of the triangular prisms below. Since it's a triangular prism, the triangle will be the base. So there is our base. Since it's a prism, we have 2 bases. There is our second base. And then our second triangular prism. There's our first base. And there is our second base. Now, let's label all of our parts. Looking at just the triangle, this bottom line right here, this is the base of the triangle. The height and the base need to form a 90-degree angle, so we actually have to draw the height in of the triangle. So this right here is the height of the triangle. This down here is the base of the triangle. And the last thing that we need to label is the height of the prism. And the height of the prism connects the two bases. So this would be the height of the prism. Since we're talking about the height of the prism, I can use this as the height of the prism. I could even use this dashed line or this top line. Same over here, I could use the dashed line or the top line. Those will all be the heights of the prism. So this is your height of the prism. We have the right angle in the back, which means we also have a right angle in the front. This would be the base of the triangle. And then this side right here would be the height of the triangle. In our next example, find the volume of the triangular prism below. The formula for the volume is we are going to take base times height. Remember, base is equal to 1/2 base of the triangle times the height of the triangle. So the things we need to find first, here's the base of the triangle. Here is the height of the triangle. We know that's the height because the height and the base make a 90-degree angle. So we're first going to start with that. B is equal to 1/2 times the base times the height. And that will give us the area of the base would be the base would be 14 divided by 2 gives us an area of 7. So now we need to find the volume. The volume is equal to the area of the base B, which we found right here, times the height. This time they labeled the top of the prism, which gives us a volume of 49 feet cubed. Remember, it's cubed because we are taking 3 dimensions, 2 for the area, 1 extra for the volume. 3 dimensions being multiplied together gives us a 3.